The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, a name that defines genius, but behind the equations and scientific breakthroughs was a man driven by relentless curiosity, a thinker who challenged the limits of human understanding. From a quiet, inquisitive child dismissed by teachers to the mind that revolutionized physics, his journey is one of passion, perseverance, and profound discovery. What made Einstein truly exceptional? And what lessons can we take from his life? Let's explore the mind behind the legend. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in the city of Ulm, Germany, to a middle-class Jewish family. His father, Hermann Einstein, was an engineer and businessman, while his mother, Pauline Einstein, had a passion for music and learning. From the very beginning, young Albert was different. One of the first signs of this difference was his delayed speech development. Unlike most children, Einstein did not start speaking fluently until he was nearly 4 years old. His parents worried that something was wrong, even consulted doctors. This delay led to what some historians call the Einstein syndrome, a term used for late-talking children who later show exceptional intelligence. As a child, Einstein was quiet, introspective, and deeply curious. He preferred observing the world around him rather than engaging in typical childhood play. His fascination with nature and the physical world began early, but he struggled to fit into traditional education systems. One pivotal moment that shaped his thinking occurred when his father gifted him a small magnetic compass at the age of 5. Young Einstein was mesmerized by how the needle moved, without any visible force. He later recalled this moment as one of his earliest memories of scientific curiosity. He wanted to understand why and how things worked, a trait that would define the rest of his life. Despite his intellectual curiosity, Einstein did not excel in school. The rigid, memorization-based teaching methods of the German education system frustrated him. He preferred to think freely and question everything, which often led to clashes with teachers. Some even described him as rebellious and unwilling to conform. One of his teachers famously told him, "Einstein, you will never amount to anything." This was because Einstein's way of learning was fundamentally different. He disliked rote learning and preferred conceptual understanding over memorization. This approach, while a hindrance in a traditional classroom, would later become one of his greatest strengths as a scientist. By the time he was 10 years old, his parents, recognizing his potential, introduced him to Max Talmud, a medical student who became his mentor. Talmud exposed Einstein to advanced mathematics and philosophy, sparking a passion for subjects far beyond his school curriculum. At 12 years old, Einstein independently discovered Euclidean geometry, a branch of mathematics that fascinated him. He taught himself advanced algebra and calculus, often studying subjects years ahead of his school level. Yet because he continued to struggle in school due to his unconventional thinking, his teachers still saw him as a problem student rather than a prodigy. At 15, Einstein's family moved to Italy for business reasons, leaving him behind in Germany to complete his studies. But unable to bear the rigid school system, he dropped out without a diploma. Rather than viewing this as a failure, Einstein saw it as an opportunity to pursue learning on his own terms. Determined to continue his education, he applied to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich, one of the most prestigious institutions in Europe. However, he failed the entrance exam, not in math or science, but in languages, history, and other non-mathematical subjects. Yet another setback in a life filled with early struggles. But Einstein was not the type to give up. Instead of feeling defeated, he spent a year studying at a different school to improve his weaker subjects. When he reapplied the following year, he passed, marking the beginning of his journey into higher education and ultimately into history. But even after entering university, his struggles weren't over. Einstein clashed with his professors, who disliked his unconventional thinking. He skipped classes, preferring to study on his own rather than follow rigid lectures. While his peers followed academic norms, Einstein often worked alone, reading advanced scientific papers far beyond the curriculum. His professors were unimpressed. After graduating in 1900, Einstein expected to secure a teaching position at a university, but no one would hire him. His professors refused to recommend him, seeing him as a troublemaker rather than a promising scientist. With no job prospects, Einstein spent 2 years unemployed, barely making ends meet. Eventually, in 1902, he found work, not as a scientist, but as a patent clerk in Bern, Switzerland. It was a far cry from his dream of becoming a physicist. Yet instead of seeing this as a failure, Einstein turned his job into an opportunity. For most, working at a patent office might have been the end of their scientific ambitions, but for Einstein, it became the perfect environment for thinking. His job required him to analyze inventions, which kept him engaged with scientific ideas while giving him enough free time to work on his own theories. And then, in 1905, something extraordinary happened. At the age of 26, Einstein published 4 groundbreaking scientific papers in a single year, a feat that would change the course of physics forever. Historians now call this Einstein's miracle year. Each of these papers tackled a different fundamental question in physics: the photoelectric effect. This paper introduced the idea that light behaves as both a wave and a particle, laying the foundation for quantum mechanics. It later won him the Nobel Prize in Physics. Brownian motion, Einstein's second paper provided evidence for the existence of atoms and molecules, settling a long-standing debate in science. Special relativity. His third paper shattered centuries of physics by proving that time and space are not absolute but relative. This meant that time itself can slow down or speed up depending on motion, a concept that defied common sense but was later proven true. E equals mc squared. In his fourth paper, Einstein introduced the world to his most famous equation, E equals mc squared, proving that energy and mass are interchangeable. This equation would later become the key to understanding nuclear energy and the development of atomic power. These papers completely rewrote the laws of physics. At first, Einstein's work was met with skepticism. Many scientists dismissed his ideas as too radical. They challenged Newton's long-accepted principles, and few were ready to believe that time and space could bend. But Einstein wasn't concerned with approval. He was interested in truth. It wasn't until 1919, 14 years later, that Einstein's theories were finally proven correct. During a solar eclipse, British astronomer Sir Arthur Eddington confirmed that light bends around massive objects, just as Einstein had predicted. Overnight, Einstein became a global celebrity. The man who had once been a struggling student, a rejected academic, and an overlooked patent clerk was now recognized as one of the greatest minds in history. Einstein's story is a testament to the power of persistence, curiosity, and independent thinking. His struggles in school, rejection from universities, and years of being ignored did not stop him. Instead, they shaped him into the scientist who would change our understanding of the universe. Here's what we can learn from him. 1. Failure is not the end. It's a stepping stone. Einstein failed exams, was rejected by professors, and struggled for years, but he never gave up. 2. Think differently. The greatest breakthroughs come not from following the rules, but from challenging them. 3. Never stop being curious. Einstein once said, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." His relentless curiosity is what led him to greatness. From a struggling student to a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, Einstein's journey proves that genius isn't about being perfect. It's about never stopping the search for knowledge. So the next time you face a challenge, remember Einstein. Because the people who change the world are the ones who refuse to accept limits.